My name is Dr. Izzhar. Firstly, before I begin, I'd like to say thank you again to Disruptive Doctors for re-inviting me to speak at this conference. So for those who I've spoken to before last year, hello again. For all the newcomers, hello. Some of you may be wondering what's the meaning behind that artwork that you see in the back of me. So it's entitled The Sleeping Giant. And I picked this particular piece of artwork because I think it best describes doctors, especially a lot of you in the room. You guys are probably sleeping giants at the moment. And I'm very confident that inside of all of you, there's this giant that's just waiting to wake up and actually make a difference. And in keeping with the theme of redefining the role of a doctor, today I'm going to be speaking to you about why I think doctors can be successful in corporate roles, okay? So a little bit about me. Like yourselves, I'm a medical doctor. I was fortunate to be trained in the UK, and I worked there as a houseman for about 2 years before I returned back to Malaysia as a medical officer, where, as you can see, I was very clearly happy working as a medical officer here in Malaysia. I don't have to go into my story why it didn't last that long, but let's just say, just couldn't adapt to the system here. And it took me a while to actually figure out what I was going to do next. If you can see, it's about a year of doing all that eat, pray, love. No, that's just a very cliched way of saying it. But really, it's about discovering yourself, what you can actually do, what you're good at. It took me a while to figure all this out before I made the move. Yeah, so basically figuring things out and growing my hair long and trying to fulfill my dream of being a musician, which clearly didn't work out as well. So I actually made the move to a pharmaceutical industry. Unlike Dr. Izzhar from Boringa, I actually worked for a generic manufacturing pharmaceutical company, local, based in Malaysia, Dua Pharma, if some of you might know. So it's a very good experience because in a local manufacturing company, you do more than one thing, compared to a multinational pharmaceutical company where you're pretty much focused on doing one thing very well. I tend to see myself as a generalist, so it was a perfect match for me to be in this company. And I did marketing for a bit, so that was basically my first foray into a corporate role. I actually liked it, and I was there for about 4 years before I decided to do a Master's of Business Administration in Singapore, which was basically, I looked at it like a passport for me to actually go work in different companies or in different industries, because it's a business degree. I wanted to legitimize my move or my transition. And then I've ended up in the clinical laboratory industry. So some of you may know Gribbles. I was the commercial director for Gribbles. And then currently now I'm the CEO for InnoQuest in Indonesia, which is basically the rebranding of Dribbles to InnoQuest. So we have a new laboratory set up in Indonesia where I manage our operations there. Okay? So I'm going to try to make this interactive, and usually it's never really a good idea, but I'm going to try anyway. But our fellow MC is going to help as well. So I just wanted to ask a couple of you guys, what makes a doctor a doctor? Okay, so maybe you can pick somebody, like, well, how would you answer that?
I found the right person here.
Okay.
Any doctors here? Oh, now everyone shy.
Okay, but now I'm looking. This is why it never works.
We'll just ask one person over here. Hi, what is your name, brother? Salif, what makes a doctor for you, lah? To treat the patient.
Okay. There's no wrong answer here.
Very good, thank you.
But maybe I rephrase the question. How can you tell that someone's a doctor? Don't say that, because he's got a medical degree. That's probably the best answer. But if you just ask, you're trying to tell yourself, how can you tell that person's a doctor? Can somebody else? Sorry,
white coat. They say white coat like it.
White coat. Okay, try to look beyond the physical appearance of what they wear, how they dress, or how they speak. Just, how can you, what are the qualities that make up a doctor? Maybe it's a bit more direct now.
I think we got the right person in the house to ask this question.
Okay.
I will come right over here, right to the front. We'll go with your first question. Hello, sir. Good. This is the right person. What makes a doctor a doctor?
I think you should ask the youngest set of millennials, not people like me in a post-war era. I can answer that, but ask them to answer. It'll be good to listen.
Yeah, sure. Anybody? What qualities make up a doctor? Somebody, come on. I need to get to the next slide. What was that?
Medical knowledge.
Endurance. Okay, that's a good one. Endurance. Okay. One more. Empathy. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. So I'm trying to attempt to actually list down a couple of things that you are probably going through your head, right? And there's no system about it. I try to lump it between EQ and IQ. Probably didn't turn out so well. But basically, as a clinician, that's basically seen as trustworthy. They're very careful what they do, very meticulous. A lot of you are brave. You have to make decisions. Obviously, a patient's life is in your hands. And on the flip side, you have to be academically good, right? You have to be smart. You have to go through medical school. You have to be methodical in what you do. You can't just simply randomly do things, at your own will. You also have to be very rational, very objective in the things that you see and the data that you see, from labs, for example, or any kind of investigations that you do. So there's a lot of skill sets and a lot of traits that you have already, right? So I'm going to take a pause here, right? Now, I'm not going to ask anybody about this, okay, because this is a bit more complicated. So having that in the back of your mind, what a doctor already has in him or herself, I'm just going to ask about what's expected in a company. And this is probably the most boring slide that I've had to put up, but it kind of summarizes what does a company do, or how does it operate. So like medicine, a company has a lot of frameworks and policies around how things get done. Typically, a company or a corporate entity has a board, where they represent the interests of the stakeholders, or people who put money into the company. They are involved with some decision-making of things that are quite major to steer the direction of the company. And they're like the police. They kind of monitor that things are actually going